Hey, it's Coach Cass. I'm dropping in really quick. Before we get started, I need your help. Need your help with this podcast. If you love this podcast, take a few seconds, hit subscribe, and rate us 5 stars. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, scroll down a little bit down to ratings and reviews. Tap the 5 stars, and it literally takes seconds. It helps me out. It helps the podcast out. And if you really want to go the extra mile, write a review. Yes, thank you so much for your help. Please share with someone you think will benefit from listening in. Thank you for helping to really help this podcast grow. Now on to the show. Hey family, welcome to the Hub. What's up, family? Today's show is a good one. I am so excited to introduce to you Nicole R. Smith, the author of Game On, Relentlessly Pursue Your Dreams. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hey, how you doing?
So happy to have you here. And you have been what I've been looking for. So your story is just so special. And I really feel that it's what you've been through, so many others have been through, but it might have stopped them. So let's take it back. Can you share a little bit with us about your love journey?
Yes, I shall. So I got married for the first time when I was 21, and it was every mother's dream. I went off to college and eloped, and she only found out that I had eloped because I had to give her my new phone number and address when I moved out so that she could reach me. Yeah, best thing ever. So, well, and I'll be frank, right? Because I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, and it was like, you are not, save yourself to marriage. You're not going to have sex till you get married. And quite frankly, I wanted to have sex. I was like, well, I'm about to go get married then. I mean, it made logical.
Burning up.
Yeah.
You weren't trying to burn up with lust. So you're like, let me go ahead and get married.
Let's just get it. Yes. Okay. So anyway, about a year later, fast forward, 9 months into the relationship, he was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I mean, imagine that. Why? Whatever. So, cool. So I was like, well, I know when I'm not wanted, and I left. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I found out that I was with child. So we're like, okay, well, we're going to try to work it out. Long story short, it didn't work out. So we did end up getting a divorce, which was tragic because it's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to stay married forever. And then a few years later, her father passed away. So I ended up being a single mom. Mm. And so we fast forward maybe 10 years, and I meet the one who I think is the one. And right. We dated long distance for about 2 years.
How did you guys meet?
We met at school. We met in college.
Okay.
And so, we had gotten to know each other, and then we were graduating, and even though we went back our own separate ways, we still stayed in touch. Mm-hmm. And just love grew, and so
something
so
like that, right?
Touch, blah blah blah. We decided to date. We're like, oh my gosh, and we were both Christians, and et cetera, and we were following the same paths of all this stuff. Cool. So we're like, well, let's get married. Great. So we do that. And then I left Houston, where I was, and I moved up to Chicago. And in a month, I realized that there was so much I had found out about him that he was able to hide because we were dating long distance. Oh. Now, I am not saying not to date long distance. You just have to be a little bit more, I guess, aware and than I was, because I was still in bliss. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So what did you find out, girl, that was so shocking?
Well, number one, he's a pathological liar. And not necessarily in big ways, but just he would lie over little things, just stuff that is why? It didn't even matter to lie. But he lied about, not everything, but a lot. Smoked.
Boy, you didn't know that he smoked?
He smoked cigars. Let's see. And just he liked to play a lot of video games.
Oh, snap.
I mean, you know, he really was a kind person. Mm-hmm. He just wasn't ready for marriage, right? So
but then you got married anyway?
Well, I discovered this after we were married.
Oh
his habits would show that, you know, his habits were just like, it was like, oh, you weren't really married, especially to bring in somebody as a single mom. Like, you can't be acting like a boy when not only you're bringing me into the picture, but you're also bringing a child into the picture. You can't have boyish, you know, tendencies, right? Yeah. You gotta man up. I'm not saying if you don't want to go play your video games, but not to the point where you're playing your video games all night and you can't get up to go to work. Like, that's a problem. Or if you stay out all night and I don't know where you are and I'm down at the police station looking for you because I have to go to work and you're supposed to be home to watch the kid and you finally show up and like, oh, sorry, I didn't have my phone with me while I was in the club. So anyway, again,
bad story.
Yes, just really not a bad person, just really wasn't ready for marriage.
Disclaimer, not a bad person.
Well, it's true, because, you know, he wasn't like beating up on me and being malicious. Like, he wasn't doing anything. It was just that responsible aspect. He just wasn't there. And I was like, look, I got a child to raise. I can't do this. And I know when I'm not wanted. So I'm a bounce. I'm going to make it easy for you. We don't have to have this hard discussion. Your actions are speaking loud enough as it is. I'm going to go ahead and go.
Oh, man. Wait, pause on that, Nicole. So ladies or gentlemen, what I normally would say is that what you want is a real man. So that's a responsible, excited, available, and loving man. You need at least those 4 qualities. So what I'm hearing is this gentleman, he wasn't excited. He wasn't responsible. There was no excitement. And there was no love. All right. So come on, keep it going. And then what happened, girl? Tell us.
So then I'm like, all right, I'm out. I bounced because I couldn't take the cold weather in Chicago. So I go back down to Florida and I'm there and I meet this really, really, really like fabulous guy. Turns out he's married. So like, next, because you just said REAL, the A was not there, so we gotta keep it moving.
Right.
So we fast forward to about 4 years ago, and and in between, you know, I would have relationships and things like that and date people, but you know, the older you get, because I'm 45, the older you get, the less tolerance you have, and you can spot that stuff. So I usually right at about 3 months, actually right at about 2 months, and then I usually take a month to be like, how am I going to end this, like, nicely? Because I'm seeing it from the get-go. Like, I don't need a whole year for you. No, I'm watching you in those first 3 months, especially because right at about 2 months, you get tired of trying to show out. You start to relax, and the real people come out, right?
Oh, Lord, not people.
I can go back and be like, yep, it was right at about that 3 month mark. Okay, all right. So so I had a whole different set of bouts of 3 months. And then about 4 years ago, I met a real man, an REAL. I was listening to one of your epidodes, and I know you were talking about the lady. She was like, oh, you know, I just need me a black man because I never really dated a white man, and da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, well, me too, but let me tell you this. Woo! He was European, Danish, like 6'2", blue eyes, blonde. First of all, I was like, blue eyed blonde, but let me tell you, Lord have mercy. So whatever. I was introduced at a backyard barbecue by some mutual friends. So some mutual friends set us up. So we talked, hit it off, and at our very, very first date, he was like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna let you know what's up. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, I have stage 4 cancer. And I was like, okay, I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
He might as well just said, I have lollipops in the back of my car.
Right.
I was like, okay, whatever. And he was just like, but he was stable. He was stable. He was on meds. It had been 5 years. He was doing okay. He was just like, every once in a while when I go in for chemo, I get really tired. And on those days, you know, I'm just not really up for doing a lot. I was like, no problem. I was like, we're just going to take it one day at a time. And honestly, no lie, I was like, and as far as I know, in 3 months, I may not even want to be with you anyway. So don't worry about it. We can just take it one day at a time. So 3 months came and passed, and he was just beautiful, just the most caring, understanding, loving, giving person you could ever meet.
Pause. So this is a white man. So please enlighten us, right? As the women of color or Black women who might be listening, what is that like? Because I have had women say to me, Coach Cass, I don't know what to do with a white man, you know, like craziness like that. So share us a little bit of what that was like as a Black woman. Did he understand? Did he understand the plight? You know, did he fight for your right? Did people look at you strange? You know, tell me.
Let me tell you, woo! Talk about fighting for my plight. We had gone into a store one day to get some, because I was like, man, I need some jeans. He's like, well, let's go get some jeans. I was like, okay. So I'm in the store trying them on, and dang, like I had to use the restroom. And so I went to the clerk, and I was like, it was like a smaller store, so they didn't have a restroom in the store, like a public restroom in the store. They were like, you have to go and use the bathroom down at the Cheesecake Factory. Cool, no problem. I put my stuff down, go down to the Cheesecake Factory, use the bathroom, come back. While I'm in the dressing room, he's sitting outside waiting, and somebody else comes up and asks a different clerk if they can use the bathroom, and they let him, or I think it was a she, I don't remember, but whoever it was, they're like, oh yeah, you can go use this bathroom. He was like, why did my girl have to, and in his Danish accent, and he was livid, and I was like, babe, it's okay. But he was like, I don't understand. You are a lady, and they made you go, and then this person, and he was like in the clerk's face, and I'm like, babe, it's okay. He was like, no. Why couldn't she use the bathroom? Why couldn't she? And I was just like, oh my God. So at this point, I had gone back into like the changing room because I was doing something, and I'm cracking up, right? I'm laughing because he is serious. He is like, you are not gonna disrespect her. Like, so yes, he was very ready to defend, and his eyes were very open, especially when I would say things, and he would, because it was a perspective that he hadn't really ever noticed before until I was like, oh, watch this. And he was like, oh my gosh. So then he became like my defender, you know, he was looking for it everywhere, like, no. So it was really great. It was a very great learning experience, a very interesting learning experience, especially because he was from Europe, and it was a whole different, you know, it was just so weird. I went with him to go visit his family, and for the first 3 days, I'm walking around like a Black Latina in America, like, you know, holding on to everything, and it's not like that over there. Over there, I'm just a person. Nice. And it took me 3 days to get used to people aren't looking at me like I don't belong here. They could care less. They were just like, oh, you know, they were just about their business. But we weren't getting looks because we were in a racial couple. Over there, I was just a person. I was not a Black person. It was weird. It was so weird. His family embraced me. They loved me. I mean, it was.
Were you the first Black woman he dated?
Yes, but he had said he had always preferred Black women, but it just kind of never. His first crush was like when he was in elementary school, was on a little Black girl, and he said he knew from then. But But he ended up marrying like a white Jewish girl, and then he was dating like a Latina and whatever. So when I came along, he was just like, you have been what I've been waiting for.
All right, so let's pick back up the story. So y'all were dating, and then
so then about 4 or 5 months into it, his chemo stopped working. They were trying to get him on trial drugs and all sorts of stuff, and it just, his body had just killing him, and he wasn't answering the phone, and I was like, what is going on? And his best friend calls me, and she's like, are you sitting down? He's in the hospital. The cancer is metastasized. It went to his head. So he had to have brain surgery, and it just kind of, that was kind of like the beginning of the end. The beautiful thing about that was that he just didn't have a lot of hangups about anything, because he was like, he understood. And the moments that we shared and had were just, I can't even express. It was just, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, he was a phenomenal human being, one of the most giving, caring, loving people you would ever meet. To the point, before I met him, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever get married again, because I had been through a couple of bouts of 3-month scenarios. I had been divorced twice, and I was like, I'm done. Like, if I get married, it's gonna take a lot.
Yeah, because literally, so far, your relationship history, 2 whole marriages, and an amazing love that you lost. You know, like, forget about it.
So at that point, like, he actually had me thinking about maybe getting married. And he was like, well, I'm not going to he's like, I'm going to put a ring on your finger when I combat this, when I beat this. And to make a very long story short, he did not make it. So he passed away. I think it'll be like, it's like 3 or 4 years. I can't even believe it's been that long. And I'm like, Lord, really? I wait all this time, and then you bring this phenomenal person into my, not just like great, phenomenal man into my life, and then he dies? And I'm like, that's just cruel, Lord. And I wasn't like mad at God, but I was very disappointed, because I was like, that's just wrong. Why? So that took time, and I had to recover from that. And boy, if you ever felt like heart-wrenching and just like a piece of me died with him, that was it. So then I had to go through the grieving process and the recovery process, and trying to understand, knowing that I could sit in this depression and this hurt, or I just have to make the decision that I have to move on, because I can't sit here. Number one, I still have a daughter that I have to be responsible for, and I can't just lose myself in that loss and not take care of her, because she still needs me. Right. So, I mean, it wasn't an easy process. I mean, it was almost, almost like 1.5 years of like, crying every day at random places. I remember one time I was at the movie theater with a group of strangers, because we were all together for a conference, and the end of the movie, it was a sad scene, and people were like sniffing, but I was like, ah! And they were like, it wasn't the, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, what? So I'm like crying in the middle of Disney Springs with 5 strangers, like boo-hoo and like ugly cry, and they were like, it's okay, we get it. If you need to cry, cry. So, just so many embarrassing moments, but it was like, but I had to do that. I had to cry when I needed to, and then keep moving forward. And
during that time at all, or no?
I'm sorry?
Were you dating at all at that time, or no? You just...
No, not through that part. Not through that part. I mean, plus, talk about, he set this, boy, if I thought I had high standards before, he set that bar high.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even want, I was like, y'all don't, no. from the time you say hello, if you didn't even say hello right, no.
Where's your Danish accent?
Yes. I mean, he set the bar high.
So when you were prepping to do like your first date with someone, like what did that look like? Like where did you meet them? How did you even decide?
So it was hard. It was hard. And I got to the point where it's like, okay, I just have to not jump into it, but let me just see, because I can't stay like this. I have to move on. He wouldn't have wanted me, and his sister was so gracious, and she was like, he would want you to be happy. You have to move on. And I'm like, but no. Okay. So then I tried the online dating thing, and no lie, the first person that I chose, not even like on purpose, almost looked exactly like him. It kind of freaked me out. And it looked like him so much that I didn't tell his sister or his best friend, because the resemblance was so uncanny that it was like. So then I had to go through, am I dating this person because I'm thinking that it's him, or is it really because of who it is, whatever. So we went through all that. Yeah, that was a 3-month thing. Done. So we realized it was because I thought it was like him. And then I just kind of had to settle down. I'm like, Lord, you know what? It's just going to have to happen. So every once in a while, I think just like so many other people, I would jump on the different apps, try a couple of things, and then it would get, then I'd be like, I can't deal with this anymore. Done. And then, you take about a month off, and you're like, oh, okay, I want to try again. And then, we all know that cycle.
Right.
So, so I was in that cycle. And then one day, remember when I said I had moved down to Florida, and I had met this amazing man, but he was married. So I was like, psh. So one day out of the blue, I get this phone call, and he's like, do you remember me? And I was like, and girl, I knew exactly who it was, because we had stayed in touch here and there, but I was like, dude, you are married. I ain't, no. I mean, we could be friends, but, and by friends, like that's a lowercase, like way up. I ain't living that life. No. Right. I knew exactly who he was. I had his phone number memorized, but I was like, hello? He's like, do you know who this is? No. Lying through my teeth. I knew exactly. I was like cautious, because I was like, yes. And he was like, I just want to let you know that, I'm making some like positive changes in my life. And he's like, I'm divorced. I'm not with my wife anymore. And da-da-da-da. And I was like, on the inside.
Yes, dance.
But I was like, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I was, because, divorce sucks. It's not good for anybody. Yeah. And so he was like, I'm just reaching back out to the positive people who have been in my life, just to reconnect and make those positive connections. Okay, cool. So then a couple of months went by, and he had to just express a little bit more interest in like maybe like dating and things like that. And I'm like, well, I'm not the same person I used to be. And he got me, right? Because usually I tend to have like the upper hand, like, because I think I'm really smart. And I'm like, well, he's like, because he was like, oh, I want us to get to know each other. And I was like, well, I'm not the person I used to be. And he was like, neither am I. Oh,
okay. I see you, boo.
Okay. You're right. Woo! So that was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Long story short, I am now engaged to that amazing, amazing man. And I would have never thought everything that Peter was, Mahendra is that and more, which I would have never. Because Peter set the bar high. Mahendra cleared it like with no problem. He would shock me on things that I was just like, oh, and I know it sounds dumb, but like stupid stuff. Like if you call, he would call right back. Oh, wait. And I shouldn't be shocked about that, because that's normal. That's how it's supposed to happen. It's not like 3 days later, and he was doing real man stuff. If I called, he called back. Hey, I'm just letting you know I'm running out. I'm going to be out with the boys. You good? Yes. He would call, check in, just letting you know I'm thinking about you.
Yes, Transparency.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, do we have to work through stuff? Of course, because it's relationships. That's the reality of it. But it has been, I thank God every day. And what we both learned, and as we are walking into this, we were like, we both know how marriage doesn't work, but we're not really sure how it does. So we were like, before we walk into this, we're going to premarital counseling.
Yes! That was on my mind, girl. Yes. There we go. Oh, you made me so happy with that. That was the one thing I was thinking in my mind, like, I need them to do premarital. Oh, that makes me so happy.
And let me tell you, it is so eye-opening. And not even because we had such, like, we both had been through divorce and we kind of knew like what we didn't want. We're pretty communicative, like, and we communicate very, very well, to the point that even when we're in counseling, so far there really hasn't been anything that has been brought up in counseling that we have not already talked about. There's no bombs dropped, like, what? I didn't know you felt like that. Like, so we have those conversations. But even in our communicating, the counselor would be like, oh, no, that. And we were like, what? She was like, no, because da-da-da-da-da-da, try it again. Oh, okay, well, all right, well, we'll try that again then. And she is picking apart the layers underneath that we had no idea even existed. And it has been so just awesome and beautiful. And I will tell anybody, before you walk down that aisle, walk into that office, because what it's going to do is it points out your weaknesses, and you're able to work together, and it prevents any like bombs from dropping, right? It's not like 3 years later, what you mean we don't look at finances the same? No, you know about that before you walk down the aisle, so you can work that out either before, or you walk into it knowing, and you have a plan of knowing what you're going to do. What do if your intimacy levels are off, like we haven't got to that part yet, so just in case, I don't know, but anyway, but I'm just saying, like it brings all that stuff up to the surface, stuff that you didn't even think about. And we've been married, me twice, and I was like, yo, I had never thought about that. So it has been an amazing journey, and I am just so grateful. And I'm just excited to be on here, just to really encourage people that, look, just hold on, hold out. Don't just accept anything that comes along. It wasn't easy being a single mom for like 20 something years, but worth the wait. And
worth the wait. Well, y'all heard it here from Nicole. Nicole, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, and just for sharing your story, but your testimony, right? That even though, divorce and loss, that love can still happen again. And you've learned from those things, and now you're doing things the way that they should be. So I just want to say congratulations. How should people reach out? How can people connect with you really quick?
Yeah, so if they want, they can reach me at my website, which is NicoleRSmith.net, and across all social media platforms at NicoleRSmith.net.
Yay! Thank you guys so much. I hope that you got something good from today. Please hit us up on Instagram at Inspire Many. Drop a review down below, and we'll see you in the next episode. Much love, many blessings. Bye-bye.